Shaun, I'm going to bring it to you first. Fact or cap? Ryan Tannehill has played his final game for the Titans.
I'm going to probably go with cap on this one. I think that Will Levis, the mayonnaise and the coffee man, will regress a little bit, and then the Titans will think, okay, do we have a shot at winning the AFC South? Do we put the veteran back in there? However, DeAndre Hopkins seems like he will now be an advocate for Will Levis. And so if Levis can keep up the level of play that we saw from him against the Falcons, because as Toddy talked about earlier, it was the Falcons, so I'm not sold. And so for not being sold on a one-game sample size, I'm going to say this is cap, but it's highly possible, and I could be wrong.
All right, Toddy, I'm going to bring it to you next. You mentioned some quarterback controversy possibly in Tennessee, so fact or cap, Ryan Tannehill has played his last game for the Titans.
I think it's very it's tricky. It's very tricky. You have a rookie quarterback who showed his ass on Sunday, throwing for 4 touchdowns, over almost 300 yards. It's going to get ugly, man. If this guy wins on Thursday Night Football, I think that it's going to get dicey. And he's thrown for the same amount of touchdowns as Ryan Tannehill all season, pretty much. And it's kind of just like, okay, well, if he just came in and we're 8 games into the season and he's got the same amount of touchdowns, I don't know how Ryan Tannehill comes back. And if Will Levis duplicates what he did on Sunday, on Thursday night, if they win and he throws for, let's just say he throws for like 250, he throws for 1 touchdown but no turnovers, I think that's good enough for him to keep the job. So I'm gonna say fact. I think Will Levis is gonna start the rest of the year, and I'm pretty sure that Evan is rooting for Will Levis, and most Titan fans are probably rooting for Will Levis to do good on Thursday Night Football, because they've seen what Ryan Tannehill is, and that ship has sailed. And I think that sky's the limit for this kid and Will Levis, the Mayo Man.
The Mayo Man. Fact or cap, Ryan Tannehill has played his final game for the Titans. I'm going to say fact. And the reason I'm going to say fact is because coming into this draft process, I told Toddy, and he laughed in my face. I said, Will Levis, he got to be top 3, top 4. And he laughed at me. He said, who's Will Levis, Kevin? Who's Will Levis, Kevin? I said, Toddy, do your homework. Will Levis, he can go. He can go. For him to go out there and go over 238 yards and 4 touchdowns, like Toddy mentioned, Ryan Tannehill has only thrown for 2 touchdowns all season. So for him to do that, Will Levis, to do that in his first half, to go out there and throw 2 touchdowns, just shows how much his impact is to this offense. We saw Derrick Henry get going, 22 attempts for 101 yards, 4.6 yards per run. This run gets more serious when they're able to have a legitimate passing game. We've seen versus the Saints when the Titans just Ryan Tannehill just throwing the game away. We've seen over and over and over that Ryan Tannehill, has been holding this team back. So for them to get fresh blood in there, for him to see it, you have to see it, you have to visualize it. It's one thing to see it in camp and in practice, but for him to go out there on national television and do it, and to have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins doesn't make things a lot harder. So I'm going to have to say fact. And then also I'm going to say fact because Ryan Tannehill could be traded. We saw Kirk Cousins go down. We now are hearing the Desmond Ridder, Tyler Heineke debate. So why not just get your losses off and lose him for something? Go ahead and trade him for a 3rd, 4th. He's a veteran quarterback. He's been through an AFC Championship game. We've seen the highs and lows throughout Ryan Tannehill's career. So I wouldn't say he's washed up just yet, but his time in Tennessee might be up, unfortunately.